Oh boy, Spartacus, none other than Stanley Kubrick himself. I picked up the Blu-ray Steelbook edition of this a while ago at Best Buy because Kubrick is one of those directors I really admire, but honestly I haven't seen a ton of his films. What I have seen though, I've loved, and he's a very celebrated director within the community. Spartacus is one of those films that is daunting to jump into. It's easily the single longest film of the season, so far this series, clocking in at a massive 3 hours and 17 minutes. This isn't one that you're just going to kill a couple hours with, this is one you set aside time for. Winning 4 Oscars for Best Actor in a Supporting Role, Best Cinematography, Best Art Direction, and Best Costume Design, while also being nominated for Best Film Editing and Best Scoring. The film follows Spartacus, a slave who is bought by a gladiator school when a violent riot breaks out freeing the slaves. Spartacus becomes their leader, freeing the slaves as they travel to the sea to leave the country on boats. When arriving to the coast, they realize they're trapped between armies and must fight the Roman Empire head on, all while Crassus is trying to seek power within the Roman Empire by taking Spartacus down. There's a lot going on here.
Give your balls a tug, you tit fucker!
There's a lot going on here as the film is a rally cry for freedom, connecting with the characters you hope for their success, and Crassus is an easy one to hate as he's a great villain. A conniving cutthroat that only wants what he wants, and it doesn't matter how he gets it. There's actually a scene that really cemented him for me as a pretty vile villain, or at least made me question the humanity in this so-called civilized society. It's when Spartacus fights Draba for Crassus and Glabrus' entertainment. While these two men are fighting to the death, Crassus and Glabrus just begin talking to each other like the fight's not even happening. Like, shh, I'm trying to watch this. But in all honesty, I don't know why, but that scene really stuck out to me as one of my favorites in the film. It conveys so much of the story and sows so many seeds, from Crassus' callousness for human life to not even pay attention to those fighting for life for his entertainment, Draba's defiance furthering the fire inside of Spartacus. The story basically begins with them two and ends with them as well. Spartacus never forgetting Crassus, while Crassus can't even remember what Spartacus looks like when it comes down to it. Some of the performances are outstanding. Personally, I think Laurence Olivier as Crassus should go down as one of those greatest performances of all kind of thing. And I really enjoyed Kirk Douglas as well as Spartacus. Apparently this is the first Kirk Douglas movie I've ever seen. He's very recognizable and a household name, but according to IMDb, I haven't rated anything he's been in besides celebrity cameos. I did find John Dahl's performance as Glabrius to be very wooden compared to the rest, but everyone else here who gets some heavy screen time was outstanding. The film won the Oscar for a lot of the visual categories, and it earned it. The cinematography is amazing. I love the use of the wide angles, especially during the fight scenes, to really show you the scope of the film. Speaking quickly on the scope, this movie is kind of mind-blowing for the amount of moving pieces in some of the scenes. There's large sections where there's so many bodies on screen I can't tell if any of them are added in post or if they're just really there in person. There's still so many warm bodies though that is beyond impressive in terms of coordination. Just the scale of the final battle alone is worth giving the film a watch. The costumes and set designs are lavish and fitting. Sure, some of the weapons look dull or fake, but they're serviceable. As for the wardrobes, they look fantastic. There's some moments where it's filmed on a stage set, and the size and design is very impressive. I always love those old stage sets, those old sound stages, love them. In terms of visuals, it's hard to believe this film is from 1960, over 60 years old now, and it looks amazing to this day. The transfer on the Blu-ray is pretty incredible. The music adds to the timeless feel as it's as large sounding as some of the set pieces in size. Weirdly enough though, this film opens on just a musical black screen, which confused me. I thought for a second maybe my Blu-ray player finally went bust, but then the film started about 3 minutes into the black screen. The film is also broken up with an intermission, so you could watch this film in 2 settings if you wanted to. I mean, you can watch any movie in any amount of settings you desire, but the film does present a nice break if you didn't want to devote a whole day to it. Honestly, if I rewatched this film, I would probably do that. Now, with everything glowing I said about the film, this isn't a perfect film in my opinion, and honestly, it's probably my least favorite I've seen from Kubrick so far. I did enjoy the film overall, but that runtime is a runtime to say the least. The film is paced really well to keep it from getting stale for me, but I wasn't as invested in it as something with a similar runtime like Seven Samurai. There's elements here that really just didn't work for me. After watching the film, I read some trivia to find out there was a lot of production issues with the film, stemming a lot from the artistic direction from Kirk Douglas with its directors, the first director being fired very early on, and then Kubrick came in. Kubrick wasn't given full creative control of the film, and according to the trivia, the two feuded so badly throughout the production that they went to therapy together and never worked together on another production, pushing Kubrick to disown this film despite it being really well received, a commercial success, and Oscar winner. This drama unfortunately bleeds over into the film. The film, at least for me, had some major tonal issues, where you would have this nihilistic savagery, corrupt leaders getting away with discarding human life, and the overbearing weight of the desire for freedom, even if death is that freedom. But then there's like some really cheesy romance heavily sprinkled throughout the film. This cheesiness coating the ending of a film that felt like it should have been much more horrific and scarring. It's some of those scenes that left me fleeting, wanting some more serious grip to wrangle me back in. Film is always a personal experience that should be unbiased from what others say in terms of your experience. I'm saying this just because this was something that the film did that didn't work for me, and was a real distraction from what I felt like my experience with the film was crafted for. It may not come off to you that way. Overall though, there is some masterclass stuff here that definitely makes it a recommendation, but sometimes you just don't fully connect with the film, and I just didn't fully connect with this one. There's a lot here I love and did connect with, but again, there are some inconsistencies with its tone that I just didn't fully get behind. I feel like I've said this quite a few times this season, but it could go up or down on a second viewing, which I would be willing to give it a rewatch, just maybe in 2 different settings rather than 1 again. That 2 setting things might actually help me with the tonal inconsistencies, who knows. I'm glad I finally checked this one off my list, and I really need to finish out Kubrick's filmography at some point, and I'm giving this one a 7.5 out of 10.